working very close with Mr. Oshiro. He's a translator, very, very close. So he got a lot of experience with Mr. O. I think I let Robert to share with you who is Mr. O and Enagic background. Right?
Yeah.
Pass it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Alright, so
Maybe I.
No, it's okay. Yeah. Okay, so good morning everyone. Thank you all.
Good morning.
So I think Anthony will be talking about the corporate history and stuff, so I'll maybe talk about some stuff about Mr. Oshiro and why he ended up doing this business. So he was born in a small village called Sedake. It's a very, very small. It's actually one of the poorer areas in Okinawa. And even in that area, he was considered one of the poorest. So when you go to Sedake, you can see a lot of houses there. Right now, Mr. Oshiro's house is, I wouldn't say big. It's not like super big or anything, but it's a decent size. But before that, it was like half of that, and everyone around him used to have maybe 3 times more land than him. And his father didn't really work, and he was ill, so he wasn't able to work, and his mother was always working, so she was kind of raising him, and he had a brother too, so she was raising them. And even during the hard times, what his mother always told him was that always help others, because you will always get something in return eventually. Even if it's not from that person, if you have this faith, if you have this way of thinking, you'll always get something back. And I think this stuck around with him, even though he wasn't really trying. I think it just stuck around with him in the back of his head because his mother used to always tell him that. So yeah, Mr. Oshiro grew up there, and then after he graduated high school, and he didn't start a company right away, so he went out to Tokyo to explore new opportunities, and he first worked for like a liquor store actually, and he was doing sales. So he used to not inside the store itself, but he used to drive to people's houses and on his bicycle and kind of do like a door-to-door sales. And then one of his family members got sick, so he had to go back to Okinawa, and then that's where he joined the civil servant. So he was collecting taxes from the people that lived around him. And this was actually, I think, one of the longest jobs he did, which was not his own company. So he worked there for 7 years. But after working there, and people around him were saying, you found a good job, it's stable, you won't have to worry about your life. I mean, you just work here till you retire and you're set for life. But somewhere in his mind, he didn't want to, just end up there. He always had this ambition. And actually, my grandfather is only 3 years apart from him and born from the same area as Mr. Oshiro. So he was, watching Mr. Oshiro growing up. He's seen him every now and then. Mr. Oshiro was never really that type of person to kind of sit still and just work. He was always all over the place, running around. He was that kid that was different from others, and I think that's one of the reasons why he couldn't really just sit and just continue to collect taxes from everyone, because at the same time, everyone hates people that come to collect taxes, right? So he was the guy that was hated in the village because when you see, they're like, oh, Oshiro's here, he's gonna collect the taxes, so they're like that. And he didn't really like that kind of job. So he decided to, explore new opportunities, and that's where he met one of the presidents for sales in Sony, and then that's when he started the Sony business. So the Sony business was actually, it was booming. It was the #1 in the whole of southern Japan. So he was making quite a good amount of money. And then, unfortunately, there was something called the Betamax and the VHS. And Sony went with the Betamax, and then everything just went down from there. And there was a lot of people around him that had this Sony business that filed bankruptcy, or even just kind of went off the grid. They just disappeared. And Mr. Oshiro probably could have, filed for bankruptcy or done the same, but he still didn't want to give up. Even though it was a really hard time, he had a lot of stock he couldn't get rid of. He didn't want to file for bankruptcy, he just wanted to keep going. And then he never closed down the company. What he did was he tried to find some ways to make income, and one of the ways was opening like a little restaurant, like a cafe, which it was okay, it was doing okay, but nothing to where he wanted to be. So, and he was exploring, and then obviously he met this Kangen water. So it was actually not him that made the Kangen one. There was a different company that was using this machine, and then in the beginning he was kind of a distributor for this company, and it wasn't a multi-level marketing company, direct selling company, whatever you guys call it. It wasn't that. It was just a normal retail. So you get it in, and you start selling. And while he was doing that, he realized how good the water was, and he thought that there should be a better way to sell it, because he knew how much it was, how good it was, and he was able to sell it, but not everyone can replicate what he was doing. So then that's where he came up with, a way to be able to share it with people, and then have them realize how good the product is, and then be able to share it, and which ended up being this type of business model. And at first, it was, so he was pretty much the first distributor of our company. So everyone that is a distributor now is somewhat connected to our CEO, which is Mr. Oshiro. But the main point that he wanted to do when starting this company was that he didn't want the distributors to take the risk. So before he started Enagic, when he was doing Sony, he was the one taking all the risk, because there was a manufacturer, which was Sony, and they used to send the stock down to Mr. Oshiro, and then Mr. Oshiro had to carry the stock and then sell it. But then what happened was, he wasn't able to sell it because the society just didn't want the Betamax, they wanted the VHS, so he was left with the stock. And he always wanted to be the one in power when it comes to what the distributors are risking, because he didn't want people to go through what he went through, because he really went through a hard time, and even his wife was with him the whole time, and at one point they had really no money, and then they had to sell their wedding ring, and till this day they still don't have a wedding ring on their hand. And I think it's to keep them reminded to stay humble and to not use the money for themselves, because they always want to be able to support the distributors first whenever something happens. So, and if you go see his house, you'll know it's not so big, to be honest. So it's kind of hard for us to buy a bigger house than him, which is probably not that hard to buy a bigger house than him. It's really small, like the place he lives in. It's probably that wall all the way, maybe even a little bit further from that wall, and that's it. And just one bed and a PC, and that's it. So a very small house he lives in Okinawa. Even the car he drives is it's a small white car. It's like a Toyota car, and it's always humble. So he's had this vision of being able to help others without help others first before himself. And even till this day, I think he still has this mindset, because he never used money for himself. Actually, I think 2 years ago, I went to Germany with him for an event, and if I'm going on a trip with him, I'm kind of expecting to eat some good food, because he is the CEO. I kind of expect to go to a nice restaurant, maybe have some nice dinner. But I think we were there for 3 days, and one of the days he was in his hotel room. I was with him. He was working, and he told me to go buy food. And then he said he wanted to go. He wanted to eat ramen and some noodles. So I go down, because there's a restaurant right in front of the hotel that we were staying at. So I was like, I'll just buy that. And then I call him. I was like, I'll get this, but then the line's a little long, so you're gonna have to wait 10-15 minutes. And he didn't get mad at me, but he's like, why are you buying it at the ramen place? Just go to a convenience store, buy a cup ramen. So yeah, so he told me to buy a cup ramen, and then I took it back to the hotel room, and then Mrs. Oshiro made the hot water, and we all ate, you know, at the table, like a small table like this. And I think that was for about 3 days straight. That's the level of food we were eating, and he's always doing that because he's always working, and he's not really interested in, again, using money for himself. So I'm not sure about other companies because I've never worked in other companies, but I believe that from the bottom of his heart, he is the type of person that is really meaning what he's saying. So when he says that he wants to help others, I'm 100% sure that he really means that, because I mean, some people say it, but you know, when you see them actually try to perform that task, they don't do it. But for him, he's actually performing what he is saying. And when he says that he's wanting to use the money that he receives to give back, then I can actually see him giving it back all the time. So no, it's okay. Yeah, so, yeah, again, I'm sure you hear this a lot, but we always say our company is different, and it's really hard to prove how the company is different. And for me personally, when I say the company is different, I look at the CEO, which is Mr. Oshiro. So I've been working closely with him for the past, I think, 4 or 5 years maybe. Before that, I was kind of away from him, but yeah, I was always with him, you know, translating for him, and always in meetings with him. And yeah, I think the biggest difference from other companies versus ours is the CEO and the mindset that he has, and how humble he is, and how he's always willing to help others. Because I mean, there are some times that he tries to help others too much to where we want to stop him, because there's sometimes that it's obviously, like, I wouldn't say a scam, but he's about to, you know, the person on the other side is trying to just, you know, take the money or do something. But he always says, no, you gotta believe in them first, and then he always goes forward with it. And I'm sure he had a lot of times where he struggled because of his decisions, but at the same time, because he was able to trust everyone and help others, even if there was 10 times where he was kind of scammed out or just lost money, if he finds that one time where he was able to succeed, that's what brought the company to where it is now. So I guess Anthony's not here, so I think I have to continue talking. But yeah, so he is the type of person that always helps others. And actually, the person that's supporting him the most is not the employees. I think it's the wife. It's his wife. So his wife was always with them, and whenever they had no money, his wife was doing part-time jobs at restaurants, at fast food restaurants and stuff, and putting in the money to the household for the kids, because he had kids. But Mr. Oshiro was always focused on the business, so he didn't really have time for the kids. So his wife was always looking over the kids. And after a sale was made, before we had the internet, like we were able to make bank transfers for the commission. What they used to do was they used to get like a little booklet in Japan where you can actually deposit money to people's accounts. So they needed it for every single distributor, and they had it in a drawer, alphabetical order. And what they did was Mrs. Oshiro took those booklets and lined up at the ATM, and then put in commission one by one. And then when the line started getting long, she goes to the back of the line and then continues to do it. Yeah, so sometimes it was a whole day of her just lining up at ATMs paying commission. And I think this humble start, because no one believed him at first. first. Like everyone around him, like, what are you doing? Like this, there's no way that this business model, the amount of commission you're paying, the speed of the commission you're paying, because we used to pay like the next day and stuff. So there's no way that your business is gonna succeed. It was even on a magazine in Japan too, that saying like a new company has came up, and they were saying that it's not gonna last more than 3 years. But then actually the 50th anniversary, the same magazine company came and took an interview with the company again and saying congratulations. But yeah, no one believed him at first, and it was the only person that believed in him was himself and Mrs. Oshiro, and they kept moving forward, because in the first couple of years the cash flow was really tight, because he had money coming in, but at the same time he had to pay out. And there was sometimes when the bank was gonna close, like during end of the year, Mr. Oshiro, what he did was he decided to pay before the bank closed for orders that's not even paid yet. So because his philosophy is that people need money as fast as possible, even if it's, you know, in USD, couple $100. Maybe this couple $100 is what's gonna change their life. You know, maybe it's the food for their kids, it's the gas money to go look for a new prospect, and he believed in that so much to where he took the risk of paying out the commission before the money was coming in at some points too, when there was like a long holiday. And thanks to him, and also thanks to all the distributors worldwide, we were able to get here now. So yeah, it's a little background of Mr. Oshiro, I guess, and you know, I can probably go on for hours because I was with him and, you know, having dinner with him. He tells me a lot of stories, so I will keep other stories for the next time so that I have something to talk about next time I come up here. Yeah. Okay, so I'll pass it back to Anthony.
Amazing.
Yeah.